Thank you. I yield 5 minutes to myself for questions. Mr. O'Brien, you wrote an op-ed in January about how some companies abuse the H-1B visa program, and I want to read part of it. You wrote that, quote, not content with shipping jobs to India or China, corporatists have found a way to control their subjects right here in America. H-1B is a way for employers to hurt the American workforce and make foreign workers their serfs. Mr. O'Brien, how are corporations abusing our immigration system to bring cheap labor here?
Well, I think, namely, the HB1 guest visas were supposed to be used to hire foreign workers with very unique skills that could not be found in the U.S. And like anything else, those employers expanded the programs and started expanding that to workers from distressed countries, bringing them over, paying them far less, and exploiting them. That was not the intent. The intent was to bring workers over here that had a unique skill set that could be utilized in certain circumstances, and we've even seen in some cases where employers have brought these folks over from foreign countries with no unique skill set, but they taught them English. And that's not part of the program, and that's not the way the program should be. Employers should be mandated to invest in American workers, and if the skills aren't here, allow the opportunity for people to come over for a short period of time and teach those skills to our American workers. And the thing that's missing in this whole conversation, and I'm a product of immigration, I think all of us are, and I embrace immigrant workers, but the reality of it, the burden keeps getting pushed on the workers, on the unions that represent undocumented workers or the unions that represent illegal aliens or however they're classified. But there's no discussion and or consequences for the employers that hire and exploit these workers. That's the troubling part for people like myself.
Yeah, I totally agree. You titled your op-ed, Why H-1B is Wrong for American Workers. I want to talk more about that and ask you, why is the H-1B visa system wrong for our American workers, and what should we do about it?
Well, we have such a talent pool in this country, and we should be utilizing and investing in that talent pool and train Americans to do these jobs. It's unfortunate when you and I read this the other day, and it caught my eye. We are American, and in too many situations, we're American't. And this is one situation that demonstrates where we take that American't approach, bring people over to do jobs that we have plenty of people that are qualified, willing, and able to do for higher wages and better benefits.
Yeah, totally agree. I just introduced legislation to reform the H-1B program. H-1B visas, as you've already said, were supposed to only be for the best and the brightest foreign workers in high-skilled occupations when American workers aren't available first. Here are some of the recent H-1B visas granted in the last 4 years. A landscape architect with a salary of $36,000, that was one of them. A squash professional with a salary of $50,000. A substitute teacher with a salary of $20,000. How can we work together to stop H-1B visas from being used to replace American workers?
Well, I think we've got to hold these employers accountable and make certain that there are stiff penalties for the exploitation and the pandemic in this situation of liabilities when they're not telling the truth. I mean, we have the best colleges and universities in the world in this country. And you use the example of a substitute teacher at $20,000 per year. We don't have people coming out of colleges and universities in America that are qualified to teach?
We obviously do. The H-1B program isn't the full story. Nearly half as many workers are here via the Optional Training Program, OPT, which doesn't have any caps or wage limits. What more needs to be done to reform the immigration system so that our American workers like your members come first?
Well, it's got to be full transparency and accountability for those programs. Like anything else, if people are not being held accountable and there's no checks and balances in place, they're only going to get away with what they're allowed to get away with.
Totally agree with that. I appreciate all of you being here. For any senator wishing to ask additional questions for the record will be due at 5 p.m. Thursday, October 23rd. Thank you to all of our witnesses for your testimony today. The committee stands adjourned.